Sub-10 was the hardest time barrier for me to overcome because I used to just mindlessly turn as fast as I could. Today we will be talking about what you need to know and what you must be able to do if you want your solves to be as good as they can be. Today we will learn how to be sub-10. Number 1, planning further in inspection. Now, if you're trying to be sub-10, I'm assuming that your cross is already pretty good. I do have a video with cross tips over here, but it's more of a beginner to advanced level, not really for this level. Which means that while you execute the cross, you should be able to look at other pieces and plan your first pair. So here I'll be showing an example of how to find first pair during inspection with white cross. And so here we have the cross pieces. So when you plan your cross during inspection, it's best to figure out where your first pair is going to be. Now, if it's a complicated cross, you can just figure out where the pieces will be, but the orientation of them will tell you exactly what case it is, and that is better to practice. I recommend doing this without inspection time, and eventually you'll be able to get this under 15 seconds, where you plan out the entire cross plus your first pair every single solve. So in this example, okay, so what I'm thinking is blue is going in here, which is good, opposite of green. I'll use that to insert red here like this. And then orange will get bumped out over here. I'll do D prime, then insert orange and green. So now the first thing I'm going to look for is which corners end up in the top layer after I execute that. So I notice that this one, after I insert red, is going to come in here. And I'm looking at the white sticker only. The white sticker is going to end up over here. D prime pushes it over here, and then inserting green and orange will put the white sticker over here. So now I'm just looking for where the edge is. So I see it here, but now I'm tracing through the cross where it will be. And I noticed that the only move that affects it is the few L moves in the beginning, and it will end up right here with the red sticker matching red. So I have sticker here, and this here is oriented correctly. So now I know after the cross solution, then I'll have these two, and I can just move the corner over and do LU, L prime to pair them together. And here we go. Here it is, and here it is. So U, LU, L prime, and insert it into the back. So that does save a pause between cross and first pair, but what's even better about that is I had all that time to look ahead to other pairs. So this helped me a lot with dealing with competition nerves, because I found that the hardest thing to do in a competition is actually to look ahead, because I feel like the pieces were just moving too fast for my brain to handle in that high pressure environment. So what helps me a lot is if I can plan a first pair during inspection, I also have more time for my second pair to find like where the second pair is going to be, which means that I save time on the first pair and I save time on the second pair. So essentially that means that I don't really have to do much work in my brain until the third and fourth pair, where look ahead becomes much easier because there aren't that many places they can be. So for example, if I solve the orange and blue here, there aren't even that many spots where the rest of the pieces can be. So look ahead through this part would be a lot easier. Number 2, Regripless cross finger tricks. So you may have seen me talk about finger tricks like this one, where your right thumb is on top and you just pull with your index finger like this. I talk about these in many of my videos, including the Sub-12 video. So now I want to bring up some other Regripless finger tricks that apply especially for the cross. So here we have a very straightforward cross. We have green and red, they can just go in 2 moves. And we have orange and blue that can also go in 2 moves. So we have a 4-move cross, but can you come up with a solution that is Regripless? So I think what a lot of people might do, which is just the most straightforward way, is to actually do orange and blue like this. This is not the best way because afterwards you'll have to rotate in order to do these two. So this may be a bit weird to think about, but if you put the cross on the back, then you can do orange first with kind of like a D2, but it's actually the front face, so it's F2. So like F2, R prime, L prime, U, and that solves the cross. So it's coming up with solutions like these, where sometimes you change which face is the bottom for the cross, and then you can get some very nice finger tricks out of it. And remember, rotations are a type of regrip as well. So in order to reduce rotations, whenever you need to align the cross, you have a choice. You can either do D or you can do wide U. If you choose between these two, then you'll typically be able to avoid a rotation depending on which one you pick. So here, if we're facing green already, then our first pair being red and green, these two pieces, if we do D, then we'll have to rotate after we pair this up in order to insert it. But instead, if we did wide U, then we can now insert this without rotating. Number 3, advanced F2L algorithms. So for F2L, make sure you know lots of F2L algorithms. Now, it doesn't have to be very complicated ones. It just has to be ones that makes your F2L a lot more efficient. And I have a PDF on this, which I'll link in the description. And if you just want to know some of the most useful cases, then I also talk about that in this video up here, where I first mentioned the PDF. So if you go through this PDF, you don't have to learn all of them. Eventually you'll end up learning quite a few of them because a lot of them are very important. So I'll just show you one here that is intuitive and super easy to memorize. So if you have this pair in the opposite slot of where it should go, then instead of taking it out, which then requires a rotation to insert it, then what you could do is just bring the slot up, insert it like this, and then put the slot back. So this is actually super fast, and faster would be like this. Then on the left side, you could also do it like this. So now if it's over here, the slot it goes into is in the front, then you can actually do another algorithm, but this kind of brings up another point. So this algorithm uses wide moves, and it goes like this. So I just recently learned this and I haven't tested it out yet. And the reason I bring up this one specifically is because it uses wide moves. Now, using wide moves is not always a bad thing. I think that look ahead, just from looking at where the pieces have moved, I feel like look ahead is not bad for this case. But it could be bad for some other cases, and you should really test it out. So if you go to the PDF and you see some algorithms that you think may not be good for your look ahead, then it's really up to you to test it in your solves, like commit to using it for a while, see if it's not good, and then abandon it if you don't like it, or maybe you can stick with it. So there are many algorithms that I have learned and then ditched because I didn't think the look ahead was very good. So one example is a really efficient algorithm for this red-blue case. If you put it at the back and then do this, I find that to be really, really bad for look ahead, so I'll only ever use it on last slot. It's pretty efficient, but I really can't track pieces during that. So make sure you study up on all these F2L algorithms, and especially learn the ones that will reduce cube rotations. I don't want to see you guys doing 2 cube rotations per F2L case. That is just a little bit too much. Number 4, using deduction in look ahead. Here are some extra look ahead tips that I didn't cover in any of my other videos. So if there's a corner in a slot in the back layer, there's nothing you can do besides a rotation that will let you see what colors are on it. Now there's an important thing to note though. If the corner is in the adjacent slot to where it should go, then there is an easy way to deduce how the corner is oriented. So we're looking at the red and blue edge, and we want to match it with its corner. So let's say I had just looked at this side, and I know obviously this is not the right corner. It's not that one, it's not this one, and also not this one. So it must be this one. I have deduced that it is the correct corner. Now, how do I know which way this corner is oriented? Because I cannot see the white sticker. Should I just rotate and look at the white sticker? That's not the best option because the blue sticker is actually enough information. So if they do match, the white sticker is on the back, which means that for this case, if I saw this, I would just move it over and pair them like that. And then now I can just insert. And now if these stickers did not match, then the white sticker would be on the bottom. So instead I could put the edge over here and then do this and insert. Now this corner in the back slot stuff, I only realized that because I did a lot of untimed solves and thought about, hey, why can't I tell what corner that is? I should be able to tell. So instead of rotating, I tried to like deduce what that corner orientation must be. Now this only works for the corner being next to where it should go. If it was in the opposite slot of where it should go, it would not work the same way as that, but you can figure that out for yourself. Number 5, timing just F2L. I think your F2L should be under 6.5 seconds. It could be slower, but that means your last layer would have to be really fast. So if you get a bad time, often we blame it on our last layer and our turning, and because it's like recency bias. It's the most recent thing that makes you think that is what is most important. But actually your F2L, look ahead, and typically the start of your solve are the most important parts of the solve. So if you just time that part, it can really help you get better at cross to F2L and then the F2L look ahead. Number 6, cleaning up last layer mistakes. Now, not everyone realizes how much their last layer turning mistakes actually does make a difference, but race somebody who's about the same speed as you and you'll realize it feels so bad when you reach last layer first and you just make a big lockup and you lose because of it. So if you're averaging around 12, you could save like up to half a second on your averages just by drilling your last layer algorithms. There are a lot of PLLs that are very, very difficult and very rare at the same time. And that's a bad combination because it means you can mess up very easily because you barely get to practice it. So to illustrate my example, we have n-perms. The probability of an n-perm in general is 1 in 36, but the probability of either of the 2 different kinds of n-perms is 1 in 72. So that's why you need to drill your n-perms. Even though they're rare, if it does happen, you want to make sure you can still get a good solve on it because it does affect your average at the end of the day. So it's because n-perms are so rare that I picked some really easy algorithms for n-perms. And if you want to see all my algorithms, they'll just be in my OLL and PLL videos, which I guess I'll link in the description. So another set of PLLs that people tend to mess up on, of course, is G-perms. These algorithms are just very, very hard to get good at and very hard to be consistent at. So that means you have to practice them a lot because they're actually really common. 16 out of 72 PLLs will be G-perms. So for OLL, what you should do is make a list of all of the algorithms you think you are bad at, and then either practice them a lot or find a new, better one. If you want to see the ones I use, there will be a link in the description, and I'm just going to show a few common ones that people tend to not like. So this is one that I really hated for a while, and this is the algorithm I use now. Then we have this line with a bar and no bar here. Now we have this one, which a lot of people do with wide moves, but the one I prefer is like this. Then we have this diagonal dot case, which I do like this. Number 7, controlling turn speed. In order to make sure that your look ahead is good, you must not be going at your maximum turn speed during F2L. If you're going as fast as you can during F2L, the cube's probably shaking, the pieces are moving way too fast, and that's no way to practice look ahead. You can build your way up to there, but there's no way you can do that right from the start and expect your eyes to adapt to it. I found that one thing that helped me a lot in competitions is to not try and turn too fast, because that makes my look ahead bad, and then it will make me more nervous if some things are not going right. So sometimes it's good to have like some sort of calibration when you go into a competition. So for me, it's just making my turn speed a little bit slower than I normally would, and combine that with the fact that I'm rushing because of competition nerves, and I think together that makes me solve just the way I normally do at home. Number 8, stay motivated. One thing that really motivated me for Sub-10, even when I was far from it, like Sub-12, whenever I got a really good session, like a PB average of 50 or 100, I would record that, but also record how many Sub-10 solves I got in that session. And then I would do like a percentage, of course, so it would be like 20% of my solves are Sub-10, and then eventually it got to 25 and 30. And that was a lot more exciting because I just thought Sub-10 solves felt so much nicer than not Sub-10 solves. And right now, my best percentage of Sub-10 solves in an average is about 80%. And that just very, very gradually went up. And it was probably what motivated me the most, that I could see I was getting there. It's not just about my numbers not being Sub-10. Like if you get an average of 10.50, maybe that's not good enough. But if you just look at the percentage of Sub-10s, you can see you're getting there. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And the reason I didn't make this video for a long time is because I wanted to be able to reference all these other really useful videos that I think will go far more in depth into each of these steps. This is more of an overview of what you need to know. And then if you go into the individual videos that I have linked in the description, then you can find a lot more information on each of these subtopics, such as last layer, my OLL PLL algorithms, my F2L algorithms, and cross to F2L transition. Those are just what I think are the most important ones. Oh, and how could I forget the F2L look ahead video, probably the most important for reaching pretty much any level. All right, so that's it for this video. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time.